Hey guys, this is KSP with Tape, and today you join me for episode 9 of the Eeloo Base series. And today I'm actually putting some more base parts together, which is odd for the Eeloo Base because it's been mainly stations and things. But I am sending two things out to Eeloo today. Primarily the return to orbit craft, as I'm calling it, which is a craft that returns to orbit from the surface of Eeloo, so I can traffic Kerbals around. Um, and then put them in the Eeloo bus and bring them back to Kerbin, and then send them firing through the atmosphere and that sort of thing. Um, and the second is a cupola module. I think it's cupola, or I don't know. The cupola module to be on the ground, which will be awesome. It will. Well, yeah, it will, because a cupola module is the one with all the windows, and I wanted something that Kerbals can look at the sky from, because they don't get enough time to look at the sky and all the time they spend in space. But anyway, I'm sending a drive section for, because I did launch all of this maybe a couple of episodes ago, and then now I'm launching the drive section to push it out to Eeloo, which is a fairly big drive section, hence the large fairing, and larger launch vehicle than usual, because I have developed another one. I like developing like really overly engineered launch vehicles. This one wasn't actually that over engineered, but whatever. And I am using KW fairings because I just like fairings. But anyway, I skipped out the rendezvousing because you've seen me do that enough times, probably, unless you're just turning up. Then hi, I'm Tape. Yeah, so I skipped that out, and now there's the long docking procedure because this was, well, it wasn't actually that hard to dock. But I've been getting into just trying to do things absolutely perfectly recently, which usually results in me fucking it up. Um, but I've gotten into slow docking, even though I can do it in like a second. Um, but yeah, so, and I think, is this, yeah, oh yeah, the sun has just risen. See, I missed it there, even though I was coming in it's super slow, and this is actually at 1 times time accelerate. Most of the episode is sped up. Um, I have cut lots of things out of it, so it won't be choppy. It'll just be cut up a lot because I don't want to put a whole. I used to put whole episodes at 4 times time accelerate, but I didn't really like that. I prefer just cutting it up and not having the boring stuff. But anyway, this has been actually quite a treat doing stuff in normal Kerbin after the plight of real-sized Kerbin. But anyway, that is, I skipped out the, it took like 5 minutes to twist into place, which was annoying. But now I'm transferring the fuel from the other bit of the launch stage, which I do use for going out to Eeloo a little bit, into the other stuff. I'm transferring stuff from fuel tanks, basically. Anyway, now we'll skip right to the burn, and I start off using the big skipper engine, or the fairly big skipper engine. Yeah, so that actually only performs very little of the burn, and I did have to quick load and quick save. I've cut that out, but because if you fire that on full power, because there's lots of docking ports and they're all held under compression, which means they're being compressed rather than like pulled apart, which I'll explain a little bit in a second. It started going crazy and waving around, so I could burn a little under half thrust with that and just get a little bit extra delta V. So basically, if I burn in the format you can see now, where there's an engine pushing against all the docking ports, that creates quite a lot of tension, which creates instability and wobbles around, as it is right now, as you can see. Whereas if I am... okay, and that's ditched. I cut that out as well, because I've been cutting out quite a lot of the burns recently. And now I activate this engine and forget to throttle down. That was smart of me. But yeah, now I just need to turn around, and... yeah, and I do burn the engines to try and not hit that fuel tank, but I hit it anyway, as you will see in a second. But as I was saying, a lot of Kerbal spacecraft launched by various people, well, the actual bit that goes in space, when they have a big, long thing covered in docking ports, they put the engines at the front so it drags the spacecraft, because then it's held under tension. Yeah, tension rather than compression, and that's, it's more stable. Anyway, I've skipped ahead because that was a horribly long burn. I actually did this all today, and I finished working with stuff at like 4 o'clock, so I haven't had that much time to throw this together. But yeah, it was an absolutely horribly long burn, so I've left in the last bit, and I kind of underestimated it. So I'm just getting my altitude right, and we have just sped up into 3 or 4 times time accelerate. It won't be. I've been like having problems with software type things, and so I'm having to kind of change different time accelerates and stuff. But anyway, now I'm doing one of two fine-tune maneuvers because I burn slightly prograde to push my orbit slightly forward and raise my apoaps. I maybe should have done that back at Kerbin, but the burn at Kerbin wears a shambles. And now I need to do the inclination maneuver, and the good thing about that is that I can do it much further out than I often do it, because if I do it, this next burn's going to be about 300 delta V, and sometimes the inclination change is like 1,000 delta V, and that's really detrimental to the amount of fuel. And if that had happened, I wouldn't have been able to do this mission because I'm running very low on fuel. And later I have to use some of the lander fuel in the drive section. I'm doing hand movements, but you can't see my hands, I'm hoping. Yeah, and on top of the cupola module, because I wanted it to look really nice and sleek and just be a cupola module, because the last few base bits I've landed still have their fuel tanks and engines and all that crap on it. It's actually got a sky crane which detaches, and even the docking port on the bottom will detach, so it will just be kind of just a cupola module on the ground. And you see I'm zooming out a lot so that I can see the temperature, because I get really awful overheating problems when I leave deadly reentry on for some reason, so I couldn't burn these at quite full thrust. Don't know why, but that was an issue. So yeah, I had to burn a little less thrustylessness. That didn't make any sense. Anyway, there is my encounter, and I'm going to skip out the fine-tune because I always leave that in, and you've probably seen it enough times if you've been watching the series. And I didn't want to just leave loads of boring crap in, because there's a lot of long burns, but I left the start of... I often leave the start of burns in now, just like, yeah, this is what's happening, but you don't want to see it because that's kind of boring. But anyway, now I'm burning and seeing how long it'll take to burn by planning it and things. I plan after I've started burning, because that's the best way to do it. But anyway, I've skipped ahead again till I have brought my inclination down, and luckily I was in a very good place to just swing around and go to the Andromeda Station. Saying that, it's really, when you've got a really eccentric orbit, it's easy to move that around and get an encounter. But I got a pretty good one, and the inclination wasn't that far off. The Andromeda Station, if you don't remember or simply don't know, is the station I have put around Eeloo, which is mainly a fueling station, has the ability to convert methane into fuel, and has various docking ports, and will be basically the port of call at Eeloo. So things like the Eeloo shuttle will dock to it, and then, well, the idea for getting back to Kerbin, oh, and now I'm done with the nuclear stage. I'll explain the Kerbin bit in a second, but now I'm done with the nuclear stage and putting that back in the lander. Not checking if it's burned fuel out of... Oh no, that's actually, I've just realised that comes after. I will explain that in a second. But oh yeah, so when I burn out of this engine, I don't consider that it will burn out of the sky crane and accidentally take some of the fuel out of the sky crane. That'll become fairly apparent in a bit. But anyway, my plan for getting back to Kerbin, or to Eeloo or whatever, is to put my Kerbals in a little shuttle, which will fly from the Kerbin station, which still doesn't have a name, to the Andromeda Station, which we're coming up on now, with up to 7 Kerbals. It will dock to the station, and then various landers will be able to take various amounts of Kerbals. This is the first one that you can see there, below the cupola module. It'll take that out to, and those will take them to and from the surface, and then they can fly to and from Eeloo and Kerbin in the shuttle, and then land back in Kerbin, so I don't keep people in space for ages, because some people have been in space for probably lots of years. But anyway, I'm ditching the cupola module now, because I figure, well, that's got to go straight to the surface, has no new need for the station, has full fuel, ha ha ha, and doesn't have any need to be in space for any longer. So this docking is all at 4 times time accelerate, because as with a lot of dockings, it took a little while, and I don't want to have this episode too cut up, but it's been fairly cut up, but you know, I'm sure it's fine. Anyway, And you'll notice that there aren't huge solar arrays on this station because they simply don't need them. And I just like the idea of a simple station. This doesn't actually have a command pod, but it does have a little crew cabin, just in case I need to leave Kerbals here. Although I wouldn't really want to be left on the Andromeda Station because it's a little bit dire, whereas the one back at Kerbin is all nice and has lots of accommodation. And this station has an odd habit of randomly rotating, which makes docking very hard, so I have to keep switching to it and stabilizing it. And there was a kind of like a node glitch and lots of annoying things. Just lots of weird little glitches. But, I mean, that's because I'm running like 1 trillion mods right now. So, I mean, that might be something to do with that. I'm not really sure. I was going to say I'm not a computer programmer, but I kind of am. But that doesn't mean I understand things. Anyway, that is that docked. Everything is fine. I can refuel that. I can refuel the lander with the fuel that that kethane miner you can see there has brought up. I will be sending that back to the surface probably in a future episode when I need more fuel. But anyway, now onto the cupola module. And I think I left it in. Yeah. Oh, you can see it's slightly down on fuel. That's because the lander was burning fuel from this and I just didn't notice. And instead of performing a simple docking maneuver, actually I'd have to undock something from the station and then dock this, and it would have taken like 5 minutes, and I didn't have 5 minutes, so I thought, it'll be fine. And it was kind of quite close, but I've gotten pretty good at conserving fuel doing my whole rescale Kerbin series. If you don't know about that, I haven't seen that, I am doing a series where the main intention is to go to the moon in rescaled Kerbin. Oh, and now I keep overburning because there's this pop-up that's like, hey, put sticky keys on, and I'm like, leave me alone, you're making me burn too much. But anyway, yeah, the series I'm doing with rescaled Kerbin will be going to the moon in rescaled Kerbin, which I think will be a very difficult task, as I've just launched satellites in a fairly small launch vehicle, but a launch vehicle, oh no, it's good that it's a small launch vehicle because I need to keep launch vehicles as small as possible while still not, still working. So yeah, I'm really excited about that series, so if you haven't seen that, go check it out, because I bet I just gave a really compelling description of probably nothing, because I'm awful at words. Anyway, so I'm bringing this down, and this is pretty much the same as all of my landings, like really shady as hell, and will probably go wrong, and then we'll land in the wrong place and we'll need to land again, and none of my landings go brilliantly well. I still haven't mastered that after, well, I haven't been how long have I been playing Kerbal Space Program, I wonder. I've had the channel 6-ish months. Maybe I've been playing it a year, maybe more. When did I get my computer? Because it sometime around there. I'm not sure, but the point is I still can't land very well, so I come in short again, like always. Oh, and you can see through the cupola module, you've got your fuel tanks. I hardly paid attention to that because I was so trying not to fuck this up. But you can see I've got hardly any fuel, but I am confident that I can land, and this is at 3 times time accelerate. So 1 times it was less crazy, and that was pretty good. That's down. I drop a quick save, and then instantly decide I want to be nearer the base. And I have like 16 litres of fuel, or 19. Yeah, about 19, so that's more than enough for a space flight. But it is just a suborbital leap over to the Eeloo Base, and I get close, not like right next to it, because I was trying to not burn fuel and fail, and I've already burned most of it. But that's closer. That's close enough, I think. It's only 150 meters away. I don't want it all next to each other. People need their space. Space to come and look at the stars. And there we go. Now I ditched the sky crane. Just let it fly off. And yeah, that's burned out of fuel, and it did lift the thing up a little bit. But now there's a stack separator on top of it. I'll have to boost the brightness so you can see this. So I warp into the day and drop the ladder, and now we're into 1 times time accelerate for something Kerman to get out and push the stack separator over. So yeah, that is coming up to the end of the episode. I will simply get rid of the stack separator that is on top of my cupola module, and then have a little mess around with it, because Kerbals are bored after spending so much time in space. But yeah, I think I'll take a quick look out of the cupola module and see what the sky looks like. Probably a lot like what it looks like from outside. But it's cold outside. But baby, it's cold outside. I won't sing, don't worry. Anyway, yeah, so it's cold out on Eeloo, so now I can sit inside and stare at the sky through many windows. That is beautiful, and this is the end of the episode. I hope you've enjoyed this. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep carrying on putting bases on Eeloo and getting it functional things, and do my rescale Kerbin series, and I'm really looking forward to that. And yeah, it'll be cool and all in the future. So this has been KSP with Tape. I will see you next time.